I need to find the Lake of Tears. It's a lake with magical powers. It can make people better when they're hurt.
Are you sure this doesn't hurt?
It's just a little sore.
It's just healing so fast.
I think this place is special. I know it tries to hurt people. Maybe it tries to help people too. Is there anyone trying to help?
Well, I'm here and I'm definitely trying to help. We have a new tooth fairy in town. We have ravens attending a funeral. We have callbacks to season 1. The return of the Chromenockle, of course. We have buffed Jade, and things are becoming so scary that the characters literally pee their pants. Episode 3 of From is full of events and interesting information, and yet some people have the audacity to call it a filler episode.
You fucking kidding me?
I swear to God, if somebody calls this episode a filler one, I'm gonna turn into Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction.
Say
This episode is a filler.
again, I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
There's actually a ton of new information and I'm super excited to once again dive into From with you, my favorite Fromily, because this episode gave us a lot of information and I actually want to start with episode's title. It is called Merrily We Go, and it's obviously a reference to a very important part of this TV show, and this is the merry-go-round. We've seen this one on the background when Julie is talking to Randall, and it's also very similar to the whole metaphysics of this place. Doesn't matter how fast you go, doesn't matter how slow you go, you're still gonna end up at the same place, just what happened with Acosta in the previous episode.
Just go round and round?
But we didn't get that much information about the whole merry-go-round, but we did have seen every character start their own journey, new journey after Jim's death. We have Tabitha looking for answers, looking to get again to the lighthouse and maybe save herself and her children. We have Victor and Ethan are on a quest to find the Lake of Tears. We have Jade on a quest to get stoned, and we have Julie trying to find some answers with the books of Ethan. We have Sophia, of course, trying to start some shit in this town and already preparing some base ground to the future conflict that's probably gonna be between Boyd and his team and everybody else. And we have me, of course, on a journey to try to bring you some answers. And I actually want to start with the Lake of Tears. By the way, I have a very detailed video about this theme. I think it's a very good one, and I'm pretty sure that you will find a lot of interesting information if you'll check this one after this video. But what was very satisfying for me in this episode, that we finally got an answer to the question from first season. When Ethan was having a vision about the Lake of Tears, he was saying that he saw a drawing of his family.
I saw the Lake of Tears. It was a drawing on the wall. There were so many drawings on the wall. We were all there in the drawings. You and me and Mom and Julie.
And if you're not new to my channel, you know that I'm not lying when I'm saying I've been talking about this forever. Like how he was able to see an image, a drawing of his family by Victor, when Victor didn't even know that Matthew's family existed. And now we know that Ethan's vision is probably somehow from the future. He was able to see something that still didn't happen. And it means that he has even stronger powers than Julie. So far we have seen Julie being able to story walk only to the past chapters, something that already happened, something that's already written in quotation marks, obviously. But if Ethan can see the future, it means he has a power over the whole story. And maybe, fingers crossed, he will be able to fix his father, actually bring him back from the dead.
It's a lake with magical powers. Maybe once I find it, it can make him better.
Now I'm super happy that Brundles is not the Lake of Tears. It sounded very stupid to me that Jim would send Ethan on a quest and wouldn't mention that, you know, the Lake of Tears I'm sending you to, it's actually Brundles. It's right next to the colony house. So yeah, this is not the Lake of Tears, and I have also a very interesting theory about this, but I already advertised my video. Brundle or Brundle may derive from Old English place name roots meaning something like a remote nook of land, possibly marsh adjacent land. That kind of made me think associatively that maybe, you know, Brundles, the small location of water and the lighthouse and the lake next to to the village, maybe all of them supposed to be a part of one big location, and since it was kind of shattered and scattered around the land, there is something central right now that needs to be found. We also get a very interesting confirmation because I have seen confusion in the fandom. Where is the Lake of Tears coming from? A lot of people thought that it's from the Chromenockle book. But no, we got a confirmation that this is just something that Ethan sort of invented while he was playing with his finger puppets.
The fairies are coming from the Lake of Tears, right? They're gonna make him better.
And when Julie and Randall were going to the rubbles of Julie's previous house, try to find the books, I was actually expecting them to find Norman, because if you remember this moment...
Are we gonna be able to get our stuff back? Norman's down there.
And if you remember, what we now know was a prophetic dream by Tabitha in episode 9 season 1, when she was imagining Jim, being hung up on the ceiling, screaming, and now we found him almost in the same position. We also have seen in this vision Norman and the other figure being in the lighthouse. So is it also a future? Is it also a future part of the story? Something that we yet to see. Now there's also a very popular theory by the fandom that Ethan is the man in yellow. I hate this theory with a passion of 1,000 burning stars. I don't want to see Ethan become somebody who can so brutally kill his father.
No one can change a story once it's been told.
There's no way to change a story once it's been told.
But I cannot completely ignore all the clues and hints. I hope it's just red herrings that the creators are putting there for us, but we do know that Ethan had a vision, had a memory, had a knowledge of the Lake of Tears even before coming to this place. We do know that Ethan is wearing yellow a lot. But then again, I do sometimes, and I swear to God, I'm not the man in yellow. But now in this episode, he also learned about the importance of wearing a suit.
Dad said a man wears a suit to show his respect.
And so far, the only guy that we know wearing a suit in this place is the man in yellow. So I'm still gonna hold my fingers crossed, hoping that Ethan is not the man in yellow. We do know that Abby used to have a dream about this place. We do know that Father Khatri heard voices before he arrived to this place. So hopefully Ethan and Tabitha and Father Khatri and Abby, they're not the man in yellow, especially Ethan.
I was just thinking about this dream I had when I was a little girl.
But what really gives me a lot of hope, and I really do that for some of you too, is that the Lake of Tears can heal people. And there's obviously a very strong connection between the Lake of Tears and Ethan. We remember that Ethan was really seriously injured in the beginning of the first season, and almost a couple of days passed and he already didn't need his walking stick. He was healing very, very fast. We did see something very similar with Alice. The guy jumped from a roof and was jumping the next day. He was also stabbed by Dale, and just the next day he was already standing, moving around and feeling pretty well. There's actually a very interesting moment that I kind of missed from the previous episode. When Jim comes to Ethan and he tells him to go to find the Lake of Tears, we can see that the scar on his forehead looks way fresher than he was looking at the end of season 3. If the Lake of Tears is healing you, Jim is probably not where the Lake of Tears is. And my theory about the Lake of Tears being a place where all the souls that die here in this place actually gather is starting to crumble a little bit. I still like it, but I'm not that convinced anymore. But since we're talking again about the scar, let's discuss Sophia. In the beginning of the episode, we are seeing the pastor again, having the same scar on his forehead, just like Jim, just like the weird figurine next to the village, just like the Ankui children. You can call me crazy, but also just like the teleport bottle tree, so it definitely needs to have some kind of a meaning. So Sophia is just asking for a couple of minutes to be alone with her father. She needs to say goodbye to him, but what we can see is that she's basically cosplaying Smiley. She is touching his body just the way Smiley was touching railings in episode 7 season 1, and what's very similar to Smiley is she's taking his tooth. Now if you remember, when Smiley was killed in season 2 and was dissected by Christy, a lot of us noticed that next to him there is a tooth and a wallet. And we know that the monsters like to take things from the people that they kill. We know that Henry was able to find something that I don't really know how it's called, that used to belong to Miranda in the caves. And now we have the man in yellow doing pretty much the same. He wants to take something from his victims.
I couldn't let you go without something to remember you by.
Now, does it mean that he also took something from Jim? Jim was also his victim, so there is a good chance that there is somewhere that used to belong to Jim that can be found on Sophia or next to her, which will lead our heroes to the conclusion that maybe Sophia is not who she says she is. And who is she? There is a very interesting theory that I think I was one of the first to talk about, is that she in the original story was some kind of a pastor, maybe a preacher of some some sort, because there are those drawings that are made by Miranda, somebody who is wearing all black and this rough puffy color, and we know that the Scandinavian church adopted this attire somewhere in the 1600s or 1700s, and even after this came out of fashion, it still stayed with the church for a very long period. I know that some churches are still using it, and we come to this conclusion because clearly Sophia is very good with her Bible. She knows it by heart, and the story that she's using in this episode is the story of Achan or Akhan. I don't really know how to pronounce him correctly in English, but this is a story from the Bible. When the Israelites were actually attacking Jericho and conquering it, they were told by God that they will win and they will conquer Jericho, but they're not allowed to take their possessions. They are either to destroy them or taking them into custody of God or something that is dedicated to God or something like this. So one of the people who was called Achan, disobeyed, and he took some things to himself, like a cloak, silver, gold, etc. And the next fight that the Israelites had, they lost. And when they were super surprised, like, dude, what's going on, God? You're supposed to be on our side. God was like, yeah, I told you not to take anything, and there's somebody there with you who is not listening, so you should probably fix this. Now, the whole story's meaning, like, why is it told, is to show that individual actions can affect everybody, can affect the whole community.
In the story, Achan caused the whole nation of Israel to suffer because he offended God.
And this is why Sophia is using this story, because she wants to start turning the town against Tabitha and her family. We already seen some glimpses of that when Tabitha came back from the lighthouse and she was attacked by everybody. Like, she didn't do anything, she didn't talk to police, because everybody in police would have believed that she was in a magical place that is being attacked by monsters. Very logical people, those Fromville folks, and I don't think it's gonna be very difficult for Sophia to actually turn them against Tabitha. You know, people are afraid and they need a victim, they need somebody to blame, and you know, the whole burn the witch on the stake and everybody's gonna be happy is very popular and cliche for a reason, because humanity during its history used to do it hundreds if not thousands of times.
This is when they tear themselves apart.
So yeah, if we remember what Sophia told to the pastor in episode 1, her plan is to see them tear each other apart. But probably this is not gonna be the end. We have the boy in white saying to Tabitha they don't have enough time, they're running out of time, so something terrible is about to happen very soon. And we see that Victor actually peed himself, poor guy, when he was discovering the suit of the man in yellow. So I don't think he was like, oh my god, this is the man in yellow, he used to, you know, make people angry at each other. No, it's probably seen him something so traumatic that, as usual, Victor is thinking that this is something that he just imagined.
I told myself it wasn't real.
And look, at this point of the story, Victor, I love you, man. You know you're one of my favorite people. I'm rooting for you all the way. But you need to stop with this, I thought it was not real. Everything that you remember is real. It was with Eloise, so it's now with the man in yellow. So if there's something in your head that you're thinking, oh my god, I imagined this to myself, stop. It's real. Start telling this to people, because you need to save those people. Without you, they're all fucked.
You're goddamn right.
No, who's definitely more than fucked is Tabitha's kids. Because Tabitha is about to leave them and just, you know, try to save them or die a hero's death. But don't worry, she left a note to Donna.
Realize you'd left a note. I'm sure they'll be just fine.
Can we all clap here for Henry? This level of sarcasm is what I'm signing up for, and I need more of this during those stupid decisions. But the most annoying part of this conversation was obviously the Giga Chad in white. When he appeared and he started to not answer anything again, I was super angry. I was waiting for this moment from the teaser, like most of all. Like, this was the moment that I was tuning in for this week. And he was like, yeah, I cannot tell you anything, this is the wrong question, what is the right question? Oh, I don't think so that if you're gonna go to the bottle tree, you're actually gonna appear in the lighthouse. I don't know, by the way, there's not enough time, bye. And I was, as I told you, super angry, but then I thought to myself, maybe because knowledge has an Acosta, he needs to, you know, filter his words and be very careful what he says to Tabitha and Henry, because if he reveals too much, he probably can lead to somebody else's death.
A bargain. With what?
I don't know.
Now, if you remember, Fatima in episode 1 was asked by Boyd what did she see? What was this power, this force that actually made a bargain with the people that sacrificed their children? She was like, I don't know, I want to be like Victor, I don't want to answer anything, bye, I'm going to the shower. But now we have seen that she, with Elgin, who's gladly taking some responsibility for what he did,
I'm not really sure I deserve to be.
they have a plan to do something which right away made me go, like, what are you gonna do with all this dirt, with all this earth here in the room, inside of the room? But then I remember what we have seen in the trailer. Fatima is doing something with what looks like clay. There is water next to her, and we don't know about Fatima anything, right, from her past, other than she was born in Iran and moved to United States. Maybe just like Alice, she's also an artist, and she wants to use this whatever mush she's holding in her hand to actually create and visualize the images that she has in her head. Something that will help her to show everybody what she has seen. Hopefully this something will look a lot like the man in yellow, or maybe Sophia, or maybe a symbol of some sort, but probably it will give us lots more information. So I think she is preparing all this dirt to actually do some artistic shit and to visualize something in her head. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. They usually help the algorithms, and we love those little bastards. Another person on the quest is definitely Julie. She wants to get more information. She needs to dive into the lore of this place. And what better to do than to take the books that Jim was saving from the RV for Ethan.
Do we want Adventures of the Grand Gulagog, Flight of the Chromenockle?
The Grand Gulagog and the Chromenockle. No, obviously the Chromenockle is gonna be way more efficient in this, because the whole name of the Chromenockle kind of have already a connection with Chronicles, Chronos, everything time related. So this is probably the book that has the story walking ability. Probably the Chromenockle was able to time travel or something like this. But I do have a couple of problems with the Chromenockles, because at one point it's a she, at one point it's a he.
She doesn't sound like that.
Maybe we'll try something else. Whenever the Chromenockle failed, he always
The fuck is a Chromenockle?
I'm not exactly 100% confident that the creators themselves know exactly what's going on in the Chromenockle. And by the way, did you notice this moment between Randall and Julie? I've been shipping those two from the very beginning, and I think they're gonna be a good couple. And this phase by Randall, this is definitely, hey, my moves are working and she likes me. And definitely Randall, if it's working right now when she's completely not into relationships of any sort, obviously, so you're doing pretty good. And being heroic and helping her to actually reach those books while climbing there and seeing this guy that, if you forgot him, he was one of the people that actually volunteered to help Jim to find Tabitha, but unfortunately died in the rubble during the night. He was killed by one of the monsters, and now we have seen that there is a rat in his mouth. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing rats in this TV show, and it kind of felt important the last time we've seen a rat, because it was in the beginning of season 2 when Tabitha and Victor were going through the caves and they have seen one of the ravens, or the crows, you want to call them anyway, it's fine with me, being eaten by the rats. So a lot of us thought about it, okay, this is probably not random. It probably means that the rats and the crows are opposite forces. They are working against each other, they are not together. And if the rats are living with the monsters, that maybe the crows or the ravens are actually also working against them. And it kind of a little bit felt that way during this episode. I mean, we had a crow or raven arriving to Victor when he found the clothes of the man in yellow, and he was maybe actually not happy about this. Maybe he was trying to warn them about something. It kind of felt like the raven was almost telling them like, look, those clothes are not good news. This guy is gonna do a lot of bad shit for you. You should be very careful. But another thing that was in this episode was obviously the funeral, where the crows kind of stopped Boyd from one of his speeches. And even though Julie says that it kind of felt like they were celebrating, maybe once again they're just trying to warn everybody, just trying to tell them, look, tree, bad tree. This tree is bad. Because in this scene, Sophia didn't seem confident. She didn't seem happy or smug about the crows arriving. I know that she needs to pretend, but she didn't pretend to be scared. She was probably having her real emotions on her face, and it didn't look like this is something that she planned. I know there's also a theory that kind of makes me also think that maybe there's a different explanation, that we haven't seen the crows when the pastor arrived. And in this episode, Kenny even reminds us that usually we see them. And the theory is that we didn't see them because the man in yellow was already in the forest waiting for the car. And the moment where all of the characters see the crows next to the tree, it's probably the man in yellow looking at them and like welcoming them or something like this. Possible. I gotta be honest with you, this sounds really plausible and can be true, but once again, we are also hearing here about subjective things, and my subjective opinion and my hope that the crows are a little more complicated than this. Maybe they're actually working here to help our characters, because this is a very stereotypical old trope of ravens being a sign of bad omen, working with the bad forces. This is a very dogmatic kind of thinking, religious kind of thinking from way back that is more suitable to people like Sophia that always use the Bible to actually create more hate towards other people than to actually somebody who is way more rational and understand that the freaking animal can be just freaking animal and doesn't necessarily have to be something evil. But this is once again just my humble opinion. Now I want to apologize in advance because right now, very fast, I'm going to talk to you about something that doesn't have any connection to clues, theory buildings, lore diving, etc. Can the characters in this TV show stop being that sexy? I mean, Jade is just laying in the muddy water and I'm like, dude, I need to go hit the gym. It looks like this TV show is becoming the Vampire Diaries or something like this. Everybody's extremely attractive and everybody's just aura farming here, and I'm starting to question my sexuality here with Kenny, Jade, etc. Luckily they brought Sophia, so everything's fine. But since we're talking about Jade, he also has a very interesting journey, and his journey is pretty similar to the original Jade from season 1. He wants to get stoned, but this time not just to escape from reality, but actually to find some answers, because if you remember, Miranda's journey started from her and Henry taking some memory trip with LSD, and we have seen that Jade didn't really did any progress here in this episode, but in the end he finds right next to the man in yellow suit something that's called Liberty Cap. It's a species of fungus which produces the psychoactive compounds psilocybin or psilocin or blah 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 blah. So basically in the next episode Jade is also gonna take a trip, but probably a psychedelic one. Now for me, as you know me, I really like to dig into science as soon as it's presented. When Jade is talking about this whole psychedelic effects, about LSD, etc., he's saying that the effect that LSD had on Miranda kind of makes sense because of the way the brain stores memory. So I obviously had to dig in a little bit, and it's very interesting because memory itself isn't like a file, it's a network of connections that gets reconstructed every time you recall something. So if you remember something, it's not like you go into the library and take in a new book. You are actually reconstructing from little details from those neural connections something that is there, but it's kind of broken and you need to gather it together. Now LSD increases communication between brain regions that normally don't interact with each other and reduces the brain's filtering system, which can bring up buried fragments, emotions, or associations that are usually inaccessible. That's why people sometimes feel like they're remembering something deeply hidden, even if it's incomplete or distorted. So in real life, patients that use those kind of drugs, they sometimes tell that they remember something that didn't even happen. And we know that trauma is obviously a mystical story, and they can take it and up it extra notch by saying that maybe something that didn't happen, this is your previous lives, that is still somehow held this energy, that it's never disappearing according to Jade, and the first law of thermodynamics is still in your brain and it's been unlocked by something not exactly legal and something you should never do. You know, YouTube, don't be angry at me because, you know, they can locate a word and suddenly decide that I'm promoting here something. Now the last journey that we need to actually dissect here is obviously Boyd and his journey to remain human. In the end of the episode, he is going to Abby's grave and he's saying that he's not really fond of what he's becoming. And this is what we are seeing with Acosta when he is trying to save her from a suicide and he's given her a mission. Now look, if you want to help somebody with depression or just being down, get them busy. And I'm talking here from my own experience, and this is what Boyd is doing. He is saying to Acosta that she reminds him of somebody, obviously talking about Abby. And what's interesting here, that the dream that he's having in the post office is having some kind of a flashback that we have already seen in episode 8 season 1. This is the same shots, obviously, but there's also a couple of new ones. We haven't seen this shot with Alice, we haven't seen Donna from this angle, and we haven't seen Abby from this angle. Now so far I'm not exactly 100% sure if it's just new scenes that they refilmed this moment, or they just filmed something during season 1, different angles. They obviously filmed those scenes not with one camera but probably with many of those, and they just reusing the angles and the material that they haven't used in season 1. But if this is their first option and they're actually refilmed this moment, maybe it's because it's gonna have some very significant importance. I don't know exactly, I'm kind of more leaning to the second option. Maybe they have some, some material stored and they just reusing it to make it more interesting, not to just repeat it. But then again, if the first option is true, once again, I'm gonna be super happy about this. So what do you think about this episode? I cannot call this a filler one. I know it didn't have that much action, nobody was transforming to Sophia, and nobody was talking about the Lake of Tears. But the main reason why we enjoy those moments so much is because they were building towards them for 3 seasons. So let them build a little more. We are now on a new journey for our characters. After Jim's death, they need to decide what everybody does. And as the Giga Chat in White said, this is the finish line. There's not that much time. We're probably gonna see every character on their journey reaching some kind of a conclusion, maybe uniting on one same journey with everybody, actually escaping this town. Hopefully. Probably a lot of people gonna die. All of the NPCs can die, I don't care. Half of the cast can die, I'm gonna care just a little bit, but they better keep their hands away from Victor and Jade. Those two have to survive. I thank you for supporting this channel. Please feel free to subscribe if you like From content. I have plenty of this, and this week I'm planning to post a lot about. We're gonna have an analysis of the teaser, I'm gonna have to post some theories. Tonight I'm gonna have my live stream as usual. It's called Sunday Night Diner. Every Sunday we gather and we talk about interesting TV shows. Now obviously mostly we talk about From. And also as usual, thank you everybody who supports me on Patreon and YouTube members. Your financial support is what keeps me motivated. It what gives me an obligation, a sense of responsibility. There is somebody who puts that much trust in me, so I better not fuck up, and I better be somebody who actually deserves this level of trust and this level of support. So as usual, I'm gonna see you on the next one. Meanwhile, bye!